if I can be right once and I can go 10x with one company, then the other 9 can get completely erased. Like whatever, maybe some of them go down 50%. But if the other 9 go to 0, I'm still at break even.
Yeah.
So like, I just look at the real basic calculus of like, oh, if I buy 5 positions and one goes 10x and the other 4 go to 0, that was a double over that 10 years or 5 years or whatever that time horizon was. So I just kind of go like,
For your
okay,
whole account.
for my whole account. Yeah. Like I can definitely stomach plenty going to 0 if I just have one of those few goes pretty good.
How long have you been investing for?
Since I was 17 and I got paper stock certificates at the bank. My grandma took me in and I had the thesis right. I wanted to buy the internet in 1997. So I bought AOL and that company went to 0. And I was right. The internet was spot on, but I bought the wrong company. Yeah, 17 years old. I don't know how I got excited then. And yeah, I've kind of been investing ever since 17 in either, the market or real estate or whatever.
Yep.
Really enjoyed.
I sort of started investing with like a financial advisor in kind of 1995, 96. So like asset allocation type program with like money managers, like your typical like Morgan Stanley type of deal.
How old were you then?
I think I was like 24, 25-ish. And then I bought my first stock personally in 2003. And my first stock, I think I told this story on your show before. So I bought, me and Ryan, we travel around the world. And at that time I was on the world tour. So every 2 weeks I was basically in a different country at a different event with the same group of friends. And, back then there was no internet, there was no Spotify, there was no streaming music or streaming Netflix. So like our only source of entertainment was CDs with music. Literally, there was no audiobooks, nothing. So I used to travel with a backpack full of all my CDs, literally like probably 10 to 12 pounds of music in my backpack. And then one summer I was at the US Open surfing event in Huntington Beach, and Apple dropped their brand new iPod. It was like that big, heavy, white, the one with the click wheel.
Yep, loved it. Still have one.
And I bought it, and all my best friends that I was traveling with, was about 8 of us that were all about to go to France. We all bought it in the same 2-day period, and then we all went to France. And by the 3rd day in France, I had all of my friends' music and all of my music in my backpack on my iPod. And I just went, my whole backpack full of CDs is firewood. Like that's literally pointless. And I was just having this epiphany, like hundreds of millions of people are going to happen. Like this is going to happen to hundreds of millions of people in the next couple of months.
Yeah.
And so I had never bought a stock. I called my financial advisor, Taylor, and I had money saved up at the time. I think I had about $5,000 at the time saved up. And that was cash I wasn't doing anything with. And I said, hey, Taylor, I want to put that $5,000 into Apple stock. And so I bought it that day. And that started doing really well. And then about a year later, I bought Starbucks in 2004. And between those 2 stocks, in about 3 years, they were both up 300 to 400%. And I didn't know anything about trading. I just knew about buying good companies. Like that's how I started, really similar to what Miller does. Just like identifying great companies, buying them and holding them for the long term. And then I started, during that time, I couldn't believe my account. I couldn't believe the stocks were doing what they did. I was like keeping track of them, and it was a bull market. They were 2 of the best stocks in the market, luckily. And they just marched higher. And I couldn't believe that my account was like tripling and quadrupling with just some thinking. That was it. So I became obsessed and fascinated by the whole situation. And then I started like reading, and that's when I found the Bill O'Neill and that whole CanSlim system with IBD and that. And so, I just became really into becoming a sort of a position trader of growth stocks.
Yeah. And it's when I think back to what you just said, Ryan, about thinking, I want to invest in the internet, it feels like both of you were just really thinking about the big picture at the time, respective, 24, 17 years old. Do you feel that that is perhaps an invitation to those who, most of the people that watch my podcast are already traders, but do you think for those who maybe, I'm always advocating traders think about becoming investors as well. I find a lot of times day traders aren't necessarily focused on investing, but I think they should be doing both. Do you feel that that fascination just with the world at large and paying attention to the big picture is just going to benefit you, whether you're a trader or an investor?
I think it's nuts. Like when the younger kids on tour come and ask me about investing, I tell them all the time, I go, hey, listen, you have this crazy advantage that no one else has. You're 20 years old. Like you're the tip of the spear for fashion and technology. And you're in Japan one week and South Africa the next week and New York City the week after that. And I go, it's crazy that the same person that's 20 years old that lives in Ohio and works at McDonald's, they don't see 1/1000th of what you see in this world. I go, just use that as an advantage. Look around, and you're seeing these trends crazy early before other people are. Like, I can't tell you what stock to buy. I have no idea. But you have this crazy knowledge that you're seeing things happen way before the world sees it. So do that. Like, look, find these trends before they happen, and buy that. Like,
and that's what you both did. That you both, I don't think you guys were looking for the trade. You were just looking at the world transforming before your eyes. And that kind of elicited this thought process of like, wait a minute, something's going to make that happen. Something's going to birth that into the future. I hope you enjoyed that episode. If you want to see the full episode, please click here. I hope you have subscribed to the Wall Street Coach podcast. And if you haven't, it's time to do so. See you on the next podcast.